August 13, 2018. A woman named Shanann Watts returned home from a business trip at 2 a.m. Her husband, Chris, was there waiting. By sunrise, she was dead. And so were their 2 young daughters. Chris Watts had been having an affair with a coworker. He'd been lying to his mistress, telling her his divorce was almost finalized. He'd been planning a new life with her, vacations in Aspen, looking at apartments, imagining a future without his family. But his pregnant wife found out. So Chris Watts made a choice. He chose his mistress. And to be with her, he decided his family had to die. He strangled his pregnant wife with his bare hands. Then he smothered his 4-year-old daughter, Bella, while she begged, "Daddy, no." Then he killed 3-year-old Celeste. He stuffed their bodies into crude oil tanks and buried his wife in a shallow grave. 3 days later, he went on TV and begged for their safe return. This is the story of the Chris Watts murders, when an affair became a family annihilation. From the outside, Chris and Shanann Watts seemed like the perfect American family. They lived in a 5-bedroom home in Frederick, Colorado. Chris, 33, worked as a field coordinator for Anadarko Petroleum. Shanann, 34, sold health supplements for a multi-level marketing company called Lavelle. They had 2 daughters, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3. And Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant with a boy they planned to name Nico. Shanann was active on social media, posting videos of their family life, birthday parties, dance recitals, Chris helping the girls with homework. They looked happy. But behind the smiling photos, the marriage was crumbling. The couple had declared bankruptcy in 2015 with nearly $450,000 in debt. Shanann was the dominant personality in the relationship, making most family decisions. Chris described himself as laid back, going along with whatever she wanted. By summer 2018, Chris had grown resentful. He told investigators later that he felt controlled, that Shanann didn't value his opinion, that he wanted someone who saw him as an equal. And then he met Nichol Kessinger. In June 2018, Chris Watts met Nichol Kessinger at work. She was a 30-year-old contract employee in the Environmental Safety Department. Chris had just been promoted to field coordinator, which meant more time in the office. They started flirting, texting, meeting for coffee. Chris didn't wear a wedding ring to work. He told Nichol he was separated from his wife and the divorce was almost final. He said he and his daughters were looking for a new apartment. He made it sound like his marriage was already over. Nichol had no reason to doubt him. Chris seemed kind, easygoing, honest. She told him she didn't want to get involved with someone who was still married, but Chris assured her, "It's over. I'm just waiting for the paperwork." By early July, their relationship became physical. They saw each other 4 to 5 times a week. Chris stayed at her house almost every night while Shanann and the girls were visiting family in North Carolina. They went to a car museum in Boulder, a drag race at Bandamere Speedway, camping at the Great Sand Dunes. Chris told investigators it felt like freedom. With Nichol, he didn't have to plan what to say or worry about making her angry. She asked for his opinions. She treated him like an equal. For the first time in years, he felt like himself. In late July, Nichol searched Google for "man I'm having affair with says he will leave his wife." By early August, she spent 2 hours searching for wedding dresses. Chris was planning his future. And it didn't include Shanann or the kids. He called a realtor about selling the house. He researched apartments. He looked up secluded vacation spots in Aspen where he could take Nichol. He was making plans for a life that required his family to be gone. But then Shanann found out. On August 11th, Chris took Nichol out to dinner. He paid with a debit card linked to the family bank account. He wasn't trying to hide it. Part of him wanted Shanann to know. When Shanann saw the charge, she knew. She had suspected for weeks. Friends later said she confided that she thought Chris was having an affair and that if they divorced, she would fight for full custody of the kids. She ordered a relationship book from Amazon called Hold Me Tight. When it arrived, Chris threw it in the trash without opening it. On August 13th at 1:48 a.m., Shanann's friend dropped her off at home after a business trip. Chris was awake, waiting for her. They both knew this was the end. Around 5 a.m., Chris woke Shanann up. He wanted to talk. For some reason, he climbed on top of her and straddled her while they spoke. He told her he didn't think they were compatible anymore, that he didn't think the marriage was going to work. Shanann, realizing what was happening, said, You're never going to see the kids again. And that's when Chris Watts made his decision. He wrapped his hands around his pregnant wife's neck and strangled her. It took at least 2 minutes. Shanann didn't fight back, didn't scream. She just died. Chris later told investigators he didn't know why she didn't fight. But by the time he let go, she was gone. And so was their unborn son, Nico. Chris wrapped Shanann's body in a sheet. He dragged it down the stairs. He loaded it into the back seat of his work truck. And that's when Bella woke up. The 4-year-old came into the bedroom and saw her father. She asked, "What's wrong with Mommy?" Chris told her, "Mommy doesn't feel good." Then he told both girls to get in the truck. He said they were going on an adventure. Bella and Celeste, still in their pajamas, climbed into the back seat next to their dead mother's body. Chris drove an hour to a remote oil field where he worked. It was isolated. No cameras. No witnesses. When they arrived, Chris smothered 3-year-old Celeste first. He used a blanket and held it over her face until she stopped moving. Bella watched. Then it was Bella's turn. As Chris pressed the blanket over her face, Bella fought back. She bit her tongue and the inside of her cheeks, trying to scream. In a soft voice, she asked, "Is the same thing going to happen to me as Cease?" Chris didn't answer. He just kept pressing. Bella's last words were, "Daddy, no." Chris forced his daughter's bodies through 8-inch openings at the top of crude oil storage tanks. Bella and Celeste sank into the thick, black oil, where they would remain submerged for 3 days. He buried Shanann in a shallow grave nearby. Then he went to work, as if nothing had happened. His daughter's bodies were in oil tanks within feet of where he was standing. That evening, Shanann's friend Nichol Kessinger called police. Shanann had missed a doctor's appointment and wasn't responding to texts. Officers went to the Watts home. Chris met them at the door, acting confused and concerned. "I have no idea where they are," he said. "This isn't like her." The next day, Chris appeared on Denver 7 News, standing on his front porch, pleading for his family's return. "Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back," he said. "I need to see everybody. This house is not complete without anybody here." But investigators were already suspicious. A neighbor's security camera showed Chris loading something into his truck early that morning. No one else had left the house. Police discovered Chris had been having an affair. They gave him a polygraph test. He failed.